Hello and happy 12th anniversary to Sage Goddess. I'm Athena, the founder of Sage Goddess, and today is our 12th anniversary. And I want to start by saying thank you to all of you who are watching, whether you are brand new to Sage Goddess and what we do, or whether you've been with us for the whole 12 years, which is a very long time. I first want to acknowledge you, bow to you, say thank you to you, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, I would love for you to do that. There's 12 years of moon rituals and high holiday ceremonies and all kinds of fun classes and lots of interesting content. A whole year of astrology classes here for free. So there's lots of fun, interesting things that happen here on YouTube. But when we as a team got together and thought, what would be really fun to give you as some new 12th anniversary content, we were like, you know what? Let's do an upgrade to our previous session on energetic clearing. It's probably one of the number one questions I get asked in my role as the high priestess of this organization, and that is, how do I keep my energy field clear? Now, I'm going to start with an ironic statement, which is, I think we actually focus too much on clearing. I actually think we're kind of like self-cleaning ovens. I really do. I think our energy fields have a self-clearing mechanism kind of built in. However, like everything, too much can be too much. And everything is vibrating. We know this from the Hermetic principles. This is ancient wisdom that goes back to Egypt and before that to Atlantis, right? Everything has a vibration. Everything has a frequency. You are like a sponge. You are absorbing and receiving everyone's frequencies, even virtually. So sometimes it's overload, right? Tools pick up energy, right? Even when you buy something online and it comes to your house, the box has energy from the person who delivered it to you. The things inside the box have energy of the people who touched it and packed it for you. The stones themselves, right? And the tools themselves have energy from wherever they've been in the world. So I don't think we need to be fanatical about energetic clearing. I think we need to trust the process and recognize that we have spirit guides, we have light beings all around us all the time, who are watching out for us and who help us to keep the field clear. The field is always moving. It's in perpetual motion, and part of that motion is kind of, like I said, a self-cleaning oven. At the same time, do we have tools and techniques to keep our energy field clear? We do. And there are some that I rely on. Some of these are going to be real familiar to you, and some of them might be brand new to your practice. I did record a stone clearing video in San Francisco. Feels like 100 years ago. I think it was about 11 years ago now. So I do feel like this is an older, wiser me coming to you with maybe some new tricks and tips, but also some of this is actually the same, because very little about my own energetic clearing practice has changed over all these years, and that tells you something. There's an evergreen nature to the information that I'm about to share. So what is energetic clearing? Energetic clearing is just the process of keeping your field clear. What's your field? Well, the energy field, what we call the toroidal field, your personal energetic field, is the space around 48 inches beyond your physical body, above your head, below your feet, and all the way around you. The saying, keeping things at arm's length, you heard that before, is really keeping things outside your energy field. As far as you can extend your arms, that's your field. So if things are inside of that field, they are directly interacting with you and your energy. If they're beyond arm's length, they're outside of your field. And I want you to think of your field as a big, literally like a humming, like whoom, 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 moving, vibrating, gathering information system. Okay, so when I come within 2 feet of you and you come within 2 feet of me, all of a sudden we start to merge and our energies start to fuse. So when people say, well, what do I do with crystals? How do I work with them? If you want to really directly interact with your crystals, you're going to want to keep them within 2 feet of your body. It's not that things outside of the 2 feet window are not affecting you in any way, because everything has a cumulative effect, right? We're all connected across these massive networks and webs of energy in our planet. Having said that, the things that are closest to you are more directly in your sphere of direct receipt or influence, okay? So energetic clearing can be done through different tools. My favorite tools, incense and crystals. You can also clear with intention and visualization. So I'm going to teach you those 3 techniques today. Now there's essential oils. You can anoint things with essential oils. I'm going to talk to you about some really important clearing herbs today. If you don't want to burn things, I like to burn things. Hence Sage Goddess and where it all began, which was with a white sage bundle 12 years ago. But if you don't like to burn things, then you can diffuse essential oils in your space or anoint yourself and your tools with essential oils. The herbs are still vibrating, they're still alive, whether you work with them in smoke form by burning them or whether you work with them in their essential oil form, which is in some cases slightly more condensed and more powerful. And I love essential oils too. The story of the origin of Sage Goddess, by the way, is relevant here, especially because it's the 12th anniversary today, and it's you probably have heard the story before, but the way Sage Goddess started is I love working with white sage. And the Latin name for white sage is Salvia apiana. White sage grows indigenously in California, basically south of Santa Barbara, down to Baja, Mexico, and about east to the Anza Borrego Desert. It grows easily in this kind of climate that I'm in and that you're in if you're in a close location to that. It grows wild, but it's temperamental. So I had discovered in my travels an incredible organic white sage farm and became close with the owners of the farm, who are incredible human beings. And so I started to work with their white sage, and I started to wrap it and bundle it into what you see here. And I was one of the first, there may have been people doing it before me, but not very many, who started adding rainbow kind of floss and thread and rose petals and lavender, threads of lavender, sticks of lavender there, and making them beautiful. And you also got the extra benefit of the other flowers. So I was making these and working with them for my own purposes. I had been taught and trained about white sage as one of the most powerful clearing herbs there is, and I believe it's true. And one of the things I love about white sage is white sage in all its forms. If you steep it and make a tea, it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antifungal. If you take the seeds, if you have an eye infection, the seeds will gather up whatever is bothering or infecting your eye and pull it out. I mean, it's just, there are incredible stories about working with all parts of the plant. Nothing goes to waste. And it's a beautiful plant to see in the wild, by the way, too. And so I had started to work with this organic, sustainable source of white sage and bundled them into these bundles. And I was gifting them to friends and working with them by myself. And I had one friend who wanted one of my bundles, and I said, it's okay, I'll send one to you. And she said, no, I think other people should have access to these. I want to support you in making these. I think you should put it online. And so the long story short is I put one on Etsy. I thought she bought it because it sold. And then later she was like, no, I didn't buy it. I thought, who bought this thing? And so I put another one on Etsy and it sold again. And I think she bought the third one. And they started to sell online. And it was really beautiful because I was able to also support this organic, very natural source of white sage too in the process of making my own bundles. So they were beautiful and very natural and also I think very unique. And then from there I was like, well, I make perfume. I had been making perfume since I was 16 years old. The first one I ever made was called Dea, which is still on our website. And so I listed Dea, and my customers started to like that. And then I started bringing a couple of gemstones and a few other things. And before too long, Sage Goddess had sort of established its roots and grown its wings. And Sage Goddess, the name came from, so I didn't know when you open an Etsy shop, you have to give it a name. I was just going to try to stick my bundle on there and let my friend buy it. So I had to have a shop name. So I thought, well, I'm putting sage on there, and I'm named after a goddess, right? My name is Athena, who's the goddess of wisdom in ancient Greece. And so that's what I did. I just put a little banner up that said Sage Goddess. I didn't even look to see if there was a website available or anything. So everything that you're experiencing as Sage Goddess is very organic, very unintentional, almost accidental, and a total blessing. And so again, I want to thank you for supporting us all these years, because once we established our roots and spread our wings, we've been able to do a lot of good in the world, and none of that would have happened without your support. So let's go back to where it all started. How do you work with white sage? So white sage is very sacred. There are lots of alternatives to it. Palo Santo, which means holy stick in Spanish, is another sacred tool that we work with. The smoke of that plant is also antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antifungal. I think you're seeing a pattern, right? So these are sacred, but also incredibly physically healing herbs, and in the case of Palo Santo, resins and wood that you can work with for clearing space. The white sage bundle that we're specifically talking about today at sagegoddess.com is a combination, like we like to do at Sage Goddess, of white sage, which clears negative energy, and pinon pine, which actually attracts and calls in sweet spirits. Kind of like sweetgrass, but I prefer it. If you've not burned pinon pine, you are missing out. It is one of the sweetest forms of pine. It's got an ambery scent to it that you don't expect if you're used to what you think pine is supposed to smell like. And so we're gonna, what I like to do is light both sides. So I start by lighting the side of the white sage. And when I'm clearing energy, it isn't just about, burn it and go. What makes the process sacred is your intention, your mindfulness, you coming into the present moment. What are you asking for this smoke to do in partnership with you? It's an ally to you. So for me, what I'm setting the intention for in this moment is I'm asking the smoke of this particular white sage in this moment to clear any energy from my field, and by extension my space, that isn't in service to my highest good. And I like to work with it clockwise. So I'm going to bring it around. Remember that energy gets stuck behind us too. I always have to be careful with my shawl, because things can get stuck in there too. And then in front of you. You don't just have a front of your energy field and nothing in the back seat. All right, so you got to make sure you're clearing the back too. And then I like to light after I've cleared, and just visualizing, like taking a moment. This is ceremonial. This is not just, again, one and done. Take a nice deep breath there, and on the exhale, support that process by letting everything physically out of your body that isn't serving you. And that can include negative thought patterns, energies of illness and disease. As a spiritual and healing practitioner who studied many, many traditions, I've worked with 100 teachers over these 12 years. And my practice started when I was 15, and I'm turning 50. So, I'm a 35-year practitioner of all different traditions. And I have a really diverse spiritual and physical lineage in this lifetime too. What I would say is, first of all, you are the medicine, right? Working with sacred tools is a ceremony at all times. And the most important part of it is you participating in the process, taking that time, taking that moment, and being fully mindful and present as you visualize the release. And honoring the integrity and giving thanks to these herbs too for the gift of their life. And also being judicious in your use and the amount of the herbs. We don't want to just, you don't need to burn this whole bundle. This bundle should last you for a long time. We just need a little to clear our space. Some practitioners, and I think this is a beautiful practice, take their bundles apart and burn them one leaf at a time. One leaf of white sage will clear a whole building, right? And if it starts to go out and you want to keep relighting it, at the beginning you can sort of blow on it and watch it get red, and it will start to, smoke will start to be released again. Little goes a long way, and that energy, that intention of being judicious and respectful and in honor of the plants and the medicine that they represent is part of the process. So, and we see memes about this that make fun of it all the time, but it's like, how much sage will it take to clear this place? And the reality is probably one leaf, right? There are some teachers, I've studied with some, who say if the sage doesn't go out right away, you have more to clear. So that's something for you to think about too. Now, when we come in and we light the pinon pine side, again, just coming into this moment fully as you light the pine, giving thanks to the pine for its energy and its presence. And then, again, what's the intention here? My intention is to call in the sweetest of spirits into my space. So I've cleared everything out now. Now what do I want to invite in with intention, with focus? And to me, again, there's nothing like pinon pine. It's woody, it's resinous, but it's also kind of like sultry and deep. There's almost nothing to compare it to, but it is one of my favorites. And again, clockwise, or we call it sunwise. Deosil in the pagan and earth-based traditions. And then you can also just move it over your sacred space, over your tools. I also like to clear my hands, because your hands are doing a lot of work for you all the time. So that's a little technique that I use too. And then a breath there. Again, just thank you, thank you, thank you. If you feel the need to put it out, you can just gently tap it into a heat-proof dish or a shell, which represents the element of water. In this case, it burned itself out, so that tells us our process is complete. And you can see I barely lit the edge, so this bundle is going to last me a long time. The next tool, if you're not a big fan of using or working with, I don't like to use the word use, because it sounds sort of one-sided. So when I say use, please know what I mean is partner with, or ally with, or connect with the energy and the medicine of that plant. If you're not a fan of working with or are allying with white sage and pinon pine or Palo Santo, some people don't like the smell. Some people feel like unless you come from very specific traditions, you shouldn't be working with it, which is fine to have that belief and that opinion. We honor all pathways here at SG. I made a different blend. Now this one takes us in a whole different tradition, whole different lineage. This is called Blessed Clearing. This is at sagegoddess.com. I designed this honestly after a friend of mine who I talk to all the time, and you won't believe the smell. It's incredible. It's a combination of blessed thistle, holy basil or tulsi, and hyssop. And she said, Athena, how come you don't have a clearing something with hyssop? Like, it's from the Bible. It's more powerful than anything else you can work with. And I said to her, you're right. And then I started really feeling into it. There's a little rosemary in here too. It's like hyssop isn't the only herb mentioned in the Bible. Blessed thistle is mentioned. Tulsi is mentioned. All the way going back to some of the ancient Hindu Vedic texts. The legend is that wherever tulsi or holy basil grows, the gods and the goddesses are there. So I like that it kind of unites the Christian pantheon with the Hindu pantheon and the ancient Vedic traditions and teachings with the ancient Christian traditions and teachings. And we mixed this blend, by the way, with something called Mako powder, M-A-K-K-O, which is unscented, but it's an incendiary agent. So when you use or work with this incense, you just put it into your dish a little bit, not too much. You don't have to work with a charcoal disc because it's self-lighting. And literally that's all you need. That's why this is kind of a big supply. I like to just take my finger, move it into a pile, and then I have a little practice to work with. So again, this is a totally different blend, same process and practice. These are all sacred herbs, which, by the way, one of my favorite things to think about is the spirits recognize these smells. Your previous selves, your old soul recognizes hyssop, which again is as old as the Bible, and tulsi, which is thousands of years in practice, right? And blessed thistle, which all of these are thought to combat even the darkest and heaviest and most dense energies. White sage, where nothing heavy can exist in the presence of it, right? So, and rosemary, which is extremely protective, but again also healing. Most things that clear also heal. So find out which is east in the room. This is east. I just like to take my lighter and gently warm my incense from the east. Just a little, not too much. And then find south, which is down here. And we're going to go around in a circle. We're going to warm it from the south. I'm going to warm it from the west. If I can get my lighter to work. I do have a backup lighter, I think, just in case. Warming from the west. And then warm it just a little bit from the north. And again, just moving it all the way through your field. You can take this around your body again if you want. And letting the smoke move through. The original perfume on this planet, the word perfume, means perfume in Latin, which is through smoke, right? Fumes, smoke. That's the Latin root for smoke. So perfume, through smoke. The ancients didn't have essential oil distilleries, and so they were actually burning resins and herbs, and that was their perfume. They would let the smoke move through their clothing and their hair, and that's how they perfumed themselves, parfumé. So this is actually an older tradition that we're stepping into. The Egyptians started building really sort of rudimentary distilleries. Cleopatra had her own, but it wasn't anything like what we have today. But I will also tell you that watching the smoke of incense, if you watch mine for just a second, is a meditation in itself. And it's kind of fun just to move your fingers through the smoke and shift and change the patterns. And again, imagine everything that you're trying to release just moving through that smoke and out of the room, out of your field, letting go of anything that is not in service, and always moving everything clockwise. And then you can take your lighter and tamp that out to put it out. And then this same amount can be relit tomorrow, as many times as you want. Just make sure you tamp out all the places that are red. Those are the places that are still burning. And then that will allow you to be, again, judicious in your use so that you save whatever is left for the next time you want to burn your incense. So that is working with incense as a way of clearing. My favorite clearing technique for visualization, which I said was the second thing I wanted to teach you, is called the Four Corners. And it's super easy to do. It's super portable. You don't need any tools for this, which is the best part. And I'm going to teach you how to do it super fast. You basically are going to imagine that the room that you're in is like a pool table with 4 pockets, okay? And you're going to imagine that any energy that needs to be released from the room that you're in, we're going to turn it to color. I learned this technique, by the way, from one of my favorite teachers, Lori Kazan, and I do want to give her credit because she is the one who taught me this technique. And it's a wham bam technique. And the nice thing is you can be doing it while you're in a room full of people, because sometimes the energy is funk. And you can be saying, oh, I'm at rest, I'm really enjoying myself. And in the meantime, you are what I call pool tabling it. You are sending that energy down the 4 corners to be transmuted. So I want you to imagine turning the energy in the room that you're in. I'm doing the same thing. Anything that, and you can ask your spirit guides to help you with this. Ask them to turn anything in this room, the building, your personal space, your personal energy field that isn't serving you, isn't in service of your highest good. Ask them to turn it, I always do a dark blue. You can ask them to turn it brown. Something easy to visualize, and ask them to send it to the 4 pockets of the room, of your pool table. So we're going to send it to that corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner. I literally imagine it liquefying and pouring down the 4 corners. And then we're going to ask, because the earth is the ultimate, Pachamama is really the ultimate keeper of energy, right? She's the ultimate compost. You can't overwhelm the earth with negative energy. And our planet, our earth, is really good at taking it and composting it, transforming it into usable light. So we're going to liquefy everything that isn't serving us, turning it a dark blue, watching it run down the 4 corners. And as soon as you feel like it's all gone, we're just going to give thanks, however you think of your source creator or the one source or God, goddess, Pachamama. We're going to ask that source energy to transform and transmute that liquid blue energy into usable light. And then to return that light to us, and also to share it and spread it out into the world wherever it needs to go. Amen, aho, and so it is. So pool tabling, it's a party trick. It's very effective and instantaneous. And what I love is you can do it while you're in the car, you can do it while you're on the phone, you don't need any tools. Having said that, I like tools. I like crystals, in case you didn't know. So I do have a grid. This is called our Energetic Clearing Essentials Kit. So actually the whole grid is part of the kit, and then I'm going to show you the grid itself. These are the most important stones, in my opinion, for clearing energy. There we go. And I'm just going to go through these really quickly. We did set it up as a grid, and what grids do is they sort of intensify, they create a vortex of energy. So, and I'm going to show you quickly how to activate this grid, and you can leave this grid up in any of your spaces. Why ever take it down? It'll be a constant filtering grid because it has the following stones in it. It has black kyanite, which is the only stone that instantly clears anything it touches and does not need to be cleared. Selenite has similar properties. It is not as potent as black kyanite. That's why we love it. It has shungite, which is an energetic purifier and filtering stone. Shungite is still used to this day in water purification systems. It does the same thing for your energy field. It has bronzite, which helps you release of anything that is not serving you. really good for letting go of grief and sadness and loss. And then selenite, which is pure divine white light and has similar properties to black kyanite, although I find black kyanite is more potent at just instantly clearing energy. I always keep a piece of black kyanite in my tarot cards or my oracle cards or any other divination tool that other people are touching. Again, constant clearing never needs to be cleared. Bronzite does need to be cleared. In my experience, shungite does need to be cleared. Some selenite needs to be cleared. Black kyanite does not need to be cleared. How do you clear stones? Running water is a great way to do it. Salt is a great way to do it. Just if you have a little dish of salt, which should be on your altar all the time anyway, just sit your stones on there and then visualize the field of those stones clearing and take them off. Smoke of your clearing herbs also clears your stones, so that's another great technique too. And then you can do the pool table with your stones. You can imagine any energy on your stones being sent to the four corners and then being transmuted and returned to that stone in usable light. We always put a quartz point in the center of our grids because quartz magnifies energy. And we always put 4 quartz points at what we call the cross quarters to anchor the energy to, because the 4 directions are important. Earth is very important for grounding energy. That's the direction of north. Air is very important for moving energy. That's the direction of east. Fire is very important for transmuting energy. That's the direction of south. And then water in the west is very important for movement, also prosperity, ease, and flow. You're also going to get your little smudging prayer, by the way, with this kit, which was my original one I wrote all those eons ago. To activate your grid, if you want to do that, you just need a double terminated quartz point. Doesn't have to be a fancy Vogel like what I've got, but whatever you have works for you. You start in the middle, and then I like to go to the east. So here in the east, I activate quartz for magnification and shungite for clearing. Back to quartz for magnification. Quartz for magnification, back to quartz for magnification, to bronzite for letting go of anything that's stuck, including grief and sadness. To quartz for magnification, out to quartz for magnification, back to quartz for magnification. Selenite, named after the moon goddess Selene in ancient Greece, for bringing divine white, lunar, clear, blessed light into your space, and back to quartz for magnification. Out to quartz for magnification, back to quartz for magnification, out to black kyanite. It's like your cosmic broom sweeping out the stuff that isn't serving you. Back to quartz for magnification, out to quartz for magnification. And I always like to stop where I started, which is again with that shungite for purification, and back to quartz in the center. And with that, your grid is activated. This would be a perfect grid, by the way, to keep near the entryway to your home, right? I always say, have other stones to keep there too, by the way. Smoky quartz, it's great to keep by the entrance to the home. Black tourmaline, which is super protective. Because we're focused so much on clearing, I chose really my top 4 clearing stones for this grid. But if you were to ask me what else I might want to add, those would be 2 that would be right on standby for me. The legend of smoky quartz is that it used to be clear, but it turned brown because it took all the yucky energy out of your field and held it for you. And black tourmaline is protective of the nouns, people, places, and things. So it's good to have a piece in your car near your home. These are all great stones to have at the entrance to your home so that any energy coming into your space is already purified before it comes in contact with the things and the people that are closest to you, right? Which is what this is all about. So that is everything I have for you. I mean, we could talk for 5 days about clearing. There's lots more to say, as always. But this is a really good sort of crash course on if you want to clear with smoke, if you want to clear with thought, intention, and energy work. That's where the pool tabling comes in. If you love working with crystals like I do, you know, I really consider myself a stone keeper. What I love about the crystals is they were here way before we got here. They will be here long after we're gone. I really consider them timekeepers of our planet. And, you know, these stones were in the earth during your past lives. So oftentimes crystals find us because they want to remind us of things that we may have forgotten. Even wisdom that's thousands of years old, and in some cases millions of years old. So my love affair with crystals goes on. And by the way, I have a new book coming out. over my shoulder over here, Crystalpedia, which is a brand new encyclopedia of crystals. We're so excited for it to come out in our 12th year. It's my 4th book. You can pre-order that online wherever you love to buy books. But if you are a crystal lover like me, that's a whole new compendium and collection encyclopedia of wisdom on crystals. It's also beautifully photographed by Team SG. You're going to love it. So enjoy Crystalpedia too. It's available now for pre-order. Have a beautiful rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. Again, thank you for being with us all 12 years. If you've been here all along, or if you're brand new, we're so glad you found us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and sign up for notifications. We're also on Instagram. We are The Sage Goddess on Instagram. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/sagegoddess. We're on TikTok. We're on Pinterest. So wherever you enjoy social media, you'll find us there too. But we wouldn't be here without you. So cheers to 12 years and much more to come. We'll see you soon.